Have you ever wondered what people did in the Old West for fun? Undoubtedly, life on the American frontier was hard. However, cowboys, pioneers, settlers, miners, and their peers found opportunities to relish their environment. At the very least, they needed some outlets to blow off steam. Numerous pastimes in the Wild West unfolded within familiar establishments such as saloons and brothels. Yet with the spread of diverse sporting events and recreational pursuits across the nation, people in the Wild West were also able to take part in some unique experiences as they came along. Entertainment in the Old West might not be your idea of fun, but men, women, and children residing on the frontier possessed a considerable array of choices to occupy their leisure hours. Remember to hit the like button because it helps us a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the notification bell to not miss the upcoming interesting videos. Gambling. Gambling in the Wild West involved everything from horse races to marksmanship contests to card games. Soldiers and miners engaged in wagers at encampments, while town residents converged at saloons and gambling establishments to place bets. Professional gamblers traversed towns seeking lucrative opportunities along their journey. One prevalent card game in the Wild West was poker, a favorite among seasoned gamblers such as James Butler, Wild Bill Hickok, and John Henry Doc Holliday, men who continue to personify the manly gambler of the frontier. The best poker players were wise to play with their backs to the wall, never willing to let anyone sneak up behind them or see their cards. They remained vigilant, poised to draw their sidearms if tensions escalated. Other card games included faro, blackjack, monte, and euchre. As more and more settlers migrated west, gambling venues gained traction in cities like Omaha, Austin, Virginia City, and San Francisco. Gambling dens were met with a mixed reception by observers. Social reformers linked them to aggression, excessive drinking, and moral decay. In contrast, triumphant gamblers and those invested in the gambling trade regarded them as contributors to the public welfare and economic prosperity. Saloons. Saloons stood as common meeting spots across the American West. Saloons doubled as dance halls, were sites of small-scale shows. Beyond this, they functioned as hubs for gambling and, perhaps most importantly, served alcohol. Saloons came in various forms. Some were well-constructed buildings with elaborate bars, or tents with nothing but a few boards set up where men could sit and drink. While many saloons employed barmaids and waitresses, the most constant presence was the bartender. Bartenders served whiskey, strong, a spirit that adopted monikers like Taos Lightning and Tarantula Juice. In instances when beer was on offer, it arrived at room temperature until the advent of refrigeration in the late 19th century. Given the proliferation of saloons in each town, these establishments often dangled food incentives to draw patrons. For instance, in New Orleans, visitors to saloons relished complimentary lunches comprised of cold cuts, crackers, cheese, and sometimes a plate of warm soup. These free repasts fulfilled a communal need, bringing together patrons of all backgrounds and social statuses. Lawmen, doctors, gamblers, educators, clerks, and laborers of all nationalities, according to one observer, were among the thousands of people in New Orleans who took advantage of the bounty of free lunches. Medicine shows. Traveling salesmen headlined medicine shows, captivating audiences with entertainment while extolling the healing virtues of elixirs and tonics. Frequently, ointments and liniments allegedly contained snake oil, a general cure-all for countless afflictions. Medicine shows made their way around the country, utilizing wagons to transport their merchandise, promising remedies for various pains, illnesses, and chronic conditions through exclusive or patented medicines. Attendees at these spectacles marveled at displays of brawn by strongmen, professors giving lectures about efficacy, and audience members, who were often actors and actresses positioned before the show began, magically being cured after one dose of medicine. Shows could be put on by individuals or companies, with many of the latter appropriating Native American cures to sell their medicines. Kickapoo Indian medicines, established by John Healy and Charles Bigelow, gained repute for its Kickapoo Indian Sagwa. This elixir, composed of a blend of herbs, roots, animal fat, and alcohol, purported to be an age-old universal remedy handed down through generations. Despite its claims to address everything from kidney and liver ailments to arthritis, Kickapoo Indian Sagwa chiefly acted as a laxative. Attending public hangings. Hangings in the Wild West were well-attended events. Both town residents and those from neighboring areas congregated to witness the executions of criminals like William Van Horn and William Wilson. Van Horn, a convicted murderer from Kansas, was hanged in Colorado in December of 1863. The event drew an audience of over 1,500 men, women, and children. As for Wilson, a ranch hand from New Mexico, the deed took place in front of a large, angry group in 1875. George Malden, known as the Prince of Hangmen, held the role of executioner under Judge Isaac Parker in Arkansas, hanging over 22 men over 7 public executions between 1873 and 1876. Thousands of people made the trek to see Malden's executions, advertised well in advance, as 5 or 6 men were dropped from the scaffold simultaneously. If an individual couldn't get to a gallows event, viewing a body was also an option. Notably, the mortal remains of Jesse James were put on public display in 1882, allowing hundreds of individuals to catch a glimpse. Boxing. In the mid-1800s, European pugilists such as Jim Mace journeyed to the United States and helped popularize boxing throughout the growing country. Mace put on boxing exhibitions, demonstrating his skills for audiences. Recognized as the father of modern boxing, he participated in numerous matches in California and Nevada. A notable encounter occurred in 1876 when Mace faced off against Bill Davis in Virginia City, Nevada. This showdown drew a sizable crowd, and Mace emerged victorious, earning $1,000 along with a gold trophy belt. The growth of prize fighting in the Old West was largely due to the influence of immigrants, especially the Irish, who had a long tradition in the sport. However, not all pugilists hailed from overseas. Successful American fighters John Chancey and Mike Donovan etched their names in history with a memorable duel in 1869. The match, overseen by Wyatt Earp as referee, epitomized their bare-knuckled grit. The ranks of pugilists flourished throughout the late 19th century, reaching such proportions that the federal government responded by passing an anti-prize fighting bill in 1896. Brothels. Saloons and brothels may have been one and the same in the Old West, but this wasn't always the case. Within saloons, there existed a cohort of women known as painted ladies, who served as companions or working as dance hall girls. In certain brothels, women who were older or unsuitable for work as painted ladies engaged in intimate services. These activities were often supervised by a madam. The establishments themselves could vary, ranging from standalone houses to unassuming structures resembling living quarters, or even rows of cribs or shacks on the outskirts of town. Depending on the locale, men paid diverse sums for companionship, ranging from as much as $50 for extended company to $1 or less for a single night. Operating a brothel was a competitive venture. Madams took great care in presenting clean ladies and a pleasant environment. Madame Dora of Deadwood, South Dakota, serves as a notable example, renowned for her integrity and equity, making sure her women washed themselves regularly and were friendly with their clients at all times. She was so successful that she was able to expand, opening additional houses in cities such as Sturgis and Rapid City. Going to the theater. As settlements flourished into towns and cities, theaters became part of the landscape. During the visits of traveling theater troupes to these locales, town residents and those from nearby regions seized the chance to attend these shows. Theaters could be large or small, accommodating a few hundred to several thousand attendees. Eager audiences often packed these venues well beyond their intended capacities. Theaters often had private boxes for wealthy customers. Some of these exclusive spaces, known as box houses, offered escorts as part of the experience. Where the population could support it, like Kansas City, there were in-residence theater performers like the group that performed Sheridan Knowles' The Hunchback in 1864. Evolving into what were known as stock companies, these groups performed cycles of plays that included comedies and dramas alike. Theaters didn't always need to be formal settings either. Often, impromptu performance spaces sprang to life beneath tents, within churches, saloons, or any public gathering spot. Rodeos. Roping, riding, and wrestling contests drew spectators throughout the 19th century, although it wasn't until the early 20th century that these events earned the name rodeo. Rooted in the ranching heritage, rodeos began as informal competitions between cattle rustlers and cowhands during the 1820s and 1830s. Cowboys traversing the expanses of the American frontier showcased their skills in local saloons and on the open range. Onlookers gathered to witness these displays. However, as the 19th century drew to a close, the decline in employment opportunities for cowboys prompted many to join Wild West shows. Rodeos as public entertainment grew in popularity as the Wild West became less wild. Audiences were eager to witness firsthand a slice of frontier existence. As early as 1873, the renowned William F. Cody, known as Buffalo Bill, staged exhibitions where he recreated frontier adventures. These exhibitions featured rope tricks, displays of marksmanship, and the presentation of Native Americans in full tribal garb. In towns like Prescott, Arizona, and Cheyenne, Wyoming, cowboy competitions emerged, offering prizes for top bronc and steer riders by the late 1880s and early 1890s. By 1929, the Rodeo Association of America came into existence, assuming the role of overseeing this rapidly expanding sport. Playing recreational sports. When cowboys, rustlers, trappers, and other men on the frontier gathered, they frequently engaged in hunting, marksmanship competitions, or foot races. Horse racing was common as well, as men boasted about their strength and physical capabilities. They would sometimes get involved in heated wrestling matches and fights. Other activities included dog and cockfighting, log rolling, gymnastics, and even axe throwing. Mid-19th century witnessed the rise of bowling and skiing as popular pursuits. Those lucky enough to be near one of the stops along the Cincinnati Red Stockings Tour of the West in 1869 could seize the opportunity to catch a baseball game. Minstrel shows. Emerging in the early 19th century, minstrel shows showcased white entertainers donning black face paint while delivering musical and comedic routines. These performers enacted exaggerated portrayals of African American traits and culture, intended to be humorous for white audiences. Minstrel troupes embarked on tours across the United States, traversing the same circuits as medicine, variety, and other contemporary traveling shows. However, the landscape was not solely populated by white performers, as many African American artists contributed songs to minstrel shows. Icons like W.C. Handy and Ma Rainey, affectionately dubbed the father and mother of the blues, lent their talents to this milieu. Another notable figure, James Bland, earned recognition as the world's greatest minstrel man, attracting African American audiences through his compositions and musical performances. Church gatherings. Emerging from the so-called Second Great Awakening, a religious revival that swept across the American frontier in the early 19th century, a notable return to religious observance was observed among many individuals in the Wild West. This resurgence was a response to declining spiritual fervor. The Second Great Awakening was marked by Protestant ministers conducting frontier camp meetings, urging attendees to personally embrace their path to salvation. Church services during this period featured extended, impassioned sermons that incorporated music, akin to performances. Often unsegregated, camp meetings could last for days and were successful in boosting church memberships. Protestantism remained strong throughout parts of the Old West, including regions like Nebraska. During the early 1870s, church services were held on a weekly basis, both in the afternoon and evening, approximately every 6 weeks, so popular that nearly the whole town attended them. Episcopal minister Cyrus Townsend Brady recalled how, on one occasion, a theater troupe arrived in town on the same evening as scheduled church services. They sold so few tickets that they changed the time of their performance to accommodate the churchgoers. Please like and share if you find the video content interesting and useful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment below so as not to miss the upcoming interesting videos. Thanks for watching.